We've been looking at like the different concepts behind pressure passing, and last week I covered off the 45-degree principle, which defines our opponent as having control boxes as you move up their body. Yeah, so like the feet and knees are one, the knees and hips are one, and the hips and the shoulders are one. So long, middle, close. And within those control boxes, we're always looking to do two things. Okay, that's create an anchor point in the bottom corner and prevent rotation. Okay, now that was always the way that it was taught, and it's still true, but there's an extra step that you can add on, which basically covers all of pressure passing and quite a few of the speed passes as well. Okay, so it's basically the methodology for what you would look to do when you're passing the guard. I'm calling it the pin and spin method because I like the rhyme and it kind of explains what you do. The 45 is one half of it, and then there's an extra step. Okay, so if you think about the direction of travel, I'm coming from here and I'm making my way up to the head. That's essentially what guard passing is. When I'm moving through the ranges, the 45-degree principle just gives me the thing I'm looking to achieve when I get to the first part of the control box. Yeah, so when I get to the bottom half of the close range control box, being the hips, my first goal is to create an anchor point, okay, wedges around the hip so the hip can't move. And I know that when I do that, the shoulders are going to want to turn to maintain posture, and I'm going to be fighting rotation. Yeah, so everyone remembers going through that last week. So I get to this point, wedges around the hip to create an anchor point. I know Josh needs to do this because if he wants to fight back, I'm preventing rotation. Okay, so that will always be true. Lots of different positions, I might show a few. Okay, now what we need to add on to this is what happens when I prevent the shoulders from moving. Yeah, what happens when I completely prevent the top part of the control box from doing what it wants. Okay, so it can't turn anymore. I need to have something to do from there. Okay, and that pretty much just describes every next step of these types of passes. Okay, so when I prevent the shoulders from being able to rotate, I essentially move the anchor point from the bottom part of the control box, and I've now transferred it to the top. Everyone with me so far? So I'm controlling here, and Josh is turning towards me. I'm fighting and fighting and fighting. I get the shoulders flat. I can't prevent any more rotation because the floor is there, so that we can count that as a stop. This has now become an anchor point on the top part of the control box. Okay, so here I've managed to stop that from moving. When I do that, my goal then changes. Okay, because I've stopped the shoulder from rotating, I've created a new anchor point. Now the goal is to create rotation in the bottom part of the control box. Yeah, so make rotation happen. First fight is prevent it from happening, so don't let him do what he wants. Once I've controlled that completely, I then force rotation on the bottom part of the control box. Yeah, so I get to this position, I manage to pin, and now I need to create rotation. So I can do it in two directions. Okay, I can do the sidewinder, yeah, over to the stinger. Like all I'm doing is creating rotation on the hip, okay, and that maintains my fight for posture and control, and always making sure Josh is in a weak position, and that is what's going to allow me to get the pass. Yeah, because I'm constantly making his ability to defend weak. Is everyone with me? Like I can go in the other direction as well. Okay, so I don't have to go that way. I can create rotation in the opposite direction. Okay, for the knee cut. Yeah, obviously the floor prevents me from making more rotation than I can. Okay, there's only so much of the circle I can go around because the floor is there. But that's essentially what I do to get him in a position where he's weak, and then that's what I would use to pass. Okay, my foot is free in this example, and I still look to create rotation. Okay, so all like the details that we look at in these passes, just follow those 2 steps, those 2 sets of rules. When you're at the bottom, yeah, so you're controlling the hip, you're fighting the shoulders. When you've dominated the shoulders and they're no longer the fight, then you create rotation on the hips. Okay, and that will be every pass. Cool. Now, that's a good step-by-step way to approach it, but you can skip steps. Yeah? If Josh doesn't have sufficient defense, I might get the top anchor, yeah, the top control of the control box without any fight, and then I just go to the second step. Yeah, so we might approach and his guard isn't very effective and I just end up with this without having to do any of the fights. But then I'm still looking to achieve the same thing and get his hips rotating. Okay, it's the same at the middle range, same at the long range. Okay, it will be the same. It's just easier to understand in the close range. With me? Okay, so what we're going to look at today is different applications of that. Okay, so we're going to move on to the ground zero stuff.